Sheldon, welcome to the Sharpen Podcast. We're so excited to have you here. This is really fun because we're doing this one in person.
Mm-hmm.
Sheldon and I are good friends, so we have to kind of button it up to be professional. Because This is the podcast for young professionals. Right. We gotta act right.
Absolutely.
Tell us about who you are.
Sure. So I am a wife to Bradley and a mom to a 4 and 2-year-old named Jack and Cotton. We live in my hometown on a little farm, and we're raising babies in a holler.
And chickens.
And some chickens and cows and all those fun things. I'm a family person, and I love being at home. I'm a small town girl, and I'm really just getting.
You're good. No, you're great. Do you want to do it again?
Let's do it again. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just hold it.
About that part.
No, you're fine.
Sorry, I want to do a good job for you, Kurt.
No, you're great. You're great.
Should I say my family first?
Yeah, we'll do the who you are, and then we'll talk about the work that you do. I will say for threes, this is the hardest part because who we are is our work.
Yeah.
So when you be like who you are, be like, I'm the executive director.
Right, that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll start over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of the guiding questions that I use people to help frame it up is
where did you grow up?
Okay. Where'd you grow up? How was your childhood foundational who you are? Tell us about any roles in your life.
I'm going to start over because I haven't been.
Okay. You're great.
Okay. So I'm Sheldon, and I grew up in Fleming County, Kentucky, which is kind of northeastern Kentucky, tiny town. I grew up in agriculture. My grandparents all farmed, was really close to my parents and my grandparents. I went to college at WKU, majored in agriculture. Spent a few years teaching, and then I became a wife to Bradley, and we have 2 little boys named Jack and Cotton. They're 4 and 2. And now we live back in my hometown, and we're living small town life on a little farm.
With your chickens?
With my chickens and some cows and dump trucks and monster trucks and
deer.
But yeah, living the wild life.
Sheldon, tell us about the work that you do.
Sure. I am the executive director of the Kentucky FFA Foundation.
Woo!
So, and Ms. Kirby serves on our board and is a great asset and resource to us. So the Kentucky FFA Foundation seeks to support the work of Kentucky FFA and chapters, which is 156 programs across our state that impact over 15,000 FFA members. So I work with our sponsors and donors and alumni to raise support for our mission and the good work that ag teachers do to support FFA members.
I love it. Okay, I'll take it. Sheldon is so good in the job that she does. We're so proud of her. We could have a whole other podcast about probably what you've learned from working with a nonprofit and fundraising and all the things. So we can put a pin in that one. We've even talked about that before. Podcast. We need to have you on. Yeah. Working with that darn board.
Working with the board.
The rough, right? So Sheldon is on today because, as you know, we're going through the Enneagram series.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my Enneagram soul sister. Okay, folks? So Sheldon is a type 3 on the Enneagram. Sheldon, tell us about the 3 and everything that you know and you are learning or have learned.
Sure. So I've been studying the Enneagram for maybe a year. So not very long. But I've always loved personality testing. I have my strengths finder.
What are your strengths?
Number 1, woo.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Positivity, communication,
This is like a
includer, and significance.
Oh, that's like a 3 recipe.
Oh, it's a recipe for a 3. Excuse me. I'm an ENFP.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, I'm an ENTJ.
Okay. But the Enneagram, and I've always loved that. I get to work with state FFA officers, which are, it's leadership training. So I've always been into the personality testing and can tell you, look how amazing I am. Look at my strengths. And then I started studying the Enneagram, and I was like, oh no.
Insert curse word.
Yeah. And so for the first time, the Enneagram doesn't tell you how you are. It tells you why you are. And 3s are extremely image conscious. They care very, very much about what other people think. They want to always be impressive. They want you to be like, wow, look how great you are in all of the things. And I have heard someone say that when threes find out they're threes, they're devastated.
Mm-hmm. Were you?
Yeah. I wanted to be a two. I was like, I'm a two.
Okay, tell us about that. Tell us about when you found out you were a three.
I wanted to be a two because the two is a helper, and I want people to think, gosh, you're so nice.
Yeah, so giving.
So giving and loving and caring. But behind the veil, that's not what it is. I have a strong wing too, but really what it is I want you to think I'm amazing. And that is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Especially for a person who cares what you think, that people know that I care what they think.
Right.
It's embarrassing, you know. But there's more than that. Threes are typically really charming. They're extremely adaptable. And that is something that has really reiterated with me, is that I can walk into a room, I can feel the room and know how I need to respond accordingly. Feel like I'm so in touch with so many people's emotions. And you talked about working for a board. I can feel the boardroom and how it's moving, you know, step by step. And if someone talks, I can tell you how that will change the room. I'm really in touch with everyone else. Have learned that I'm not that in touch with myself. And that's been a big area of growth for me in my 30s, is learning about myself and what I want. And threes are typically not very checked in with themselves. Really have the ability to turn emotions off and be who you need me to be in that second.
And not only the impression and everything, but talk about the like productivity side of a three. Do you identify with that?
Absolutely. They say threes excel in a corporate environment because it's about achieving. A three is an achiever. So it's the next goal, the next thing, the next greatest idea. And so threes really do excel in that environment. And then it feeds their ego because they are excelling in that environment. So yeah, if you want to get things done, I feel like you need to bring in a three.
Yeah.
And I really do. For me, in work, there's so many things about that. And one, I do think it's always the next thing and the next thing and new goals that excites me. I feel more excited about my job today than I did 7 years ago when I started. And we have came leaps and bounds since then. And I'm so excited about the next 7 years and the leaps and bounds we'll make. So that's thrilling to me. The next thing, new things are fun to me. There's no rest inside a three's head is also the truth.
Okay, so walk us through that. I mean, not to like totally get up in your personal space, but what do you mean? Like there's no rest. Why?
So threes feel like they are never enough, that they are only as good as their last achievement, and they get their self-worth and their value from that. So to be
start crying.
So to be in a healthy place, you know, for me, I tell myself, when I started learning about this, let me go back. It's all about, what do I have to do to get this? What do I have to do to get this? How much work do I have to do this? I started realizing how true that was for me, and looked back in my prayer journal and saw me write the words, God, show me what I have to do for you to do this. And just so earning. And it's exhausting. And so when your truth is found in the Lord, you know you can't earn it. His love, he just gives it to you. And that threes, I think, can truly find rest and contentment in the Lord. And that has been true for me. But for work, to go back to work, is I'll have an example. This fall, we hosted a gala. And we had a fantastic night. We had fundraising. We broke fundraising records. We had 360 guests. It was a high. Social media was full of it. I couldn't stop looking at what everyone was posting. And that was a Saturday night. I took Monday off. Tuesday, I couldn't even process it. It was just like the next thing. I need to start working on the board meeting. I need to start working on the, like I could not enjoy the work we had done. It was just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And not checking in with myself, with celebrating successes. You know, it was just, well, that's over, and now what's next?
So they say with the threes, because you and I were both three, that we are in the feelings triad. So we're going to have twos. They externalize feelings. 3s, we don't know our feelings, and 4s internalize them. So did that resonate with you as a 3? And what are you learning about that? Because you kind of mentioned it earlier.
Yeah. That so resonates. And I think it also goes in with adaptability. I think back over my career, and now there are things that I have done that I would be embarrassed to tell people probably regarding work, and things that I have stuffed and went on to work and went on. Like, I guess that's just where you get your value from, or what will people think if I have to take off because I'm struggling with something. You know, I think about my grandfather. I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant with my first child. My grandfather passed away in a really tragic way, and he was on life support for a few days. Drove to him, but I had a fundraising breakfast that had been scheduled in 2 days, maybe 5-hour drive from where he was in the hospital, pregnant, all of the things. And I did not feel like I could tell those people I can't come. And I left the ICU in this horrific thing, 5 months pregnant. I drove 5 hours, and I went and did a fundraising breakfast.
Why? What? Why?
I don't know. I don't know if I thought, no, well, what's going to happen if I don't come? Or what will they think if I cancel? Or I didn't want to disappoint the people who had put it together. Now that wouldn't be the case because I have a support system at my job and people who could come in and support me. I didn't have that when I started. It was just me. So it felt all this pressure of I have to do this. If I don't do this, no one will do this. And then what will happen? You know, but there are many things that 3s are workaholics. They get their value in their job. And there are so many things that I could be just terribly upset about in my family and work life, hard life things that I can turn off completely and go do the work that I need to do.
Which can be good.
Yeah,
it can be good.
And then also, but I have to really do the work in myself to check back in and process the feelings. Because it's easy to just turn the feelings off and go to work because you're good at work. And work's not sad, and you know, those things.
Right. In many ways, it's just easy.
It's easier. It's easier.
Yeah.
And I think that, so it's a good thing and a bad thing, but that's something I'm working on myself and checking on myself more.
So you said I'm doing the work, and you talked about healthy. So the Enneagram, what I love about it, Sheldon, is that it gives you like a direction to look. Like, I don't want to say it gives you a formula, or it gives you it just gives you the like tagline that they often use on typology is lenses.
Yeah.
Like your lenses on how you see life. So then they give you a framework to like see health in your life, right? And unhealth. And most personality tests will say, this is who you are, this is who other people are, and just is what it is.
This is it. Right.
Whereas the Enneagram is like, here's some triggers and some language.
Right.
And it feels like less attacking. We'll come back to language in a little bit. But can you talk about, like, when do you know that you're unhealthy and when do you know you're healthy as 3?
That's a great question.
And you're 3, so you want to be like,
well, I'm healthy all the time.
I'm healthy all the time. And I know I'm unhealthy when I'm like not sleeping because I'm so awesome. I have to be up the next morning to like go hang out with you like name drop somebody.
So some real I know that I'm unhealthy when I'm not sleeping.
Okay. Yeah.
Period. The 3 has given me some language in my marriage to use. My husband's a 6, and this is really one of the things is that I struggle with sleep because my body is so tired, but I can't turn my brain off.
Yeah.
And it's just me making lists and thinking about what I need to do for work the next day, and then the next week, and then this other project, and just working. I can't turn it off. And so that's unhealthy. And I have to be able to turn it off. So turning it off. When I cannot turn it off ever is when I'm unhealthy. When I can't put my phone down. When I feel like I can't not check my email all weekend.
Okay.
Somebody needs me. You know, what
so looking healthy, what have you started to do?
So looking healthy is spending time with the Lord for me. Before I check my email, before I check Instagram. Doing that consciously.
Yeah.
because I want to look at that first. I want to look at other things first. 3 is putting my phone in another room from the time my boys get home from school or from work, from the babysitter, and spending that real quality time with them and not picking it up for a few hours. Healthy is feeling my emotions.
Okay.
Saying that I'm feeling, saying how I'm feeling.
That's the worst. It's awful.
Stupid feelings.
Have you ever cried at work? Like and I'm not talking about, because I know your counterpart. And I know y'all are friends. But I'm talking about like in front of the board or in front of like.
I have cried in an HR meeting several years ago.
Okay. How did that feel?
Horrible and embarrassing. But it was a little bit confrontational and a taking it for myself moment, and it felt, it felt hard.
Yeah.
And then it felt like, well, I shouldn't be crying at my job.
Right.
But I'll tell you, one time my dad was diagnosed with cancer in 2015, and I had to tell the board I need to take some time because I'm going to be a caregiver. And saying it out loud was like made it emotional. I was trying to be so professional about it. But the people, when I have found when I can be emotional, I can be vulnerable. I mean, people meet you where they are. And the people on our board and people that I work with were outstandingly supportive and friends and partners to me, and really showed me friendship. Yeah. So it is scary to be vulnerable, but being healthy is being vulnerable.
Okay.
That's getting easy as I'm getting older.
Yeah.
To just be who I am without the expectations. But it's still, when I walk into a room, I can be who you need me to be at that time. And so this is a positive thing for work too. Yeah. And another thing. So I work with sponsors and donors in a fundraising role, and it's building relationships. I feel like it is the perfect job for a 3. Because it is a smoozy job. It's getting to know people. My job is for people to like me and for people to like FFA. Yeah. So I'm up for the challenge every day of doing that. I greatly care what people think about me, and I greatly care what people think about Kentucky FFA. And I want to serve people well, so my role is perfect for that. But I really do. Part of my job is meeting with a donor and thinking about who they are. What do they need to hear from me? And that sort of thing. And I love doing that. But the challenge in growing is doing the people in my life, like my husband, my parents, my friends, not going, who do you need me to be today? But showing up as authentic.
Yeah. The thing I've heard about 3s for me is they talk about, because 3s, so I remember there was a 3 that said, and I still remember it to this day, she said, when I walk into a room, and she's elected official, politician, so 3.
Yeah, such a 3.
I wanted to come on the podcast, and if you're listening, Peggy, you're coming. Okay. And she said, when I walk into the room, I launch audience analysis software. What do they expect from me? What do they want from me? And I've heard 3s can they'll start out their morning and they'll be at a gas station and they'll make buddies with the other person pumping the gas because they immediately can pick up on, what do you want me to be? Right. Then they'll go to their meetings and they'll pick up on all those things. And then they'll need to go get an oil change, and then instantly they become a mechanic and walk the walk and talk the talk. Chameleons. And it's great in that you are adaptable and you love people. I know you feel that we love people and all types of people. The harm in it, and I've found for myself, is that you all of a sudden you get to this point, probably where we're at now, we did in our 20s, and you're like, who am I? Because all I've done is become the mechanic or the whatever.
Right, whatever you needed from me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's so true of my childhood. If you go back to 3 childhoods, my parents are divorced. They were divorced when I was 5. And my parents are as happily divorced as people can be. They had a healthy relationship with everyone growing up. But you had not just your family then you had like your stepdad's family and then dad's girlfriend's people and all these people that you were in different homes in different places and everything was kind of always changing and with different expectations. And I truly did just learn how to be whoever those people expected me to be. And I just saw that and I'm like, man, that's so true. And what's scary for a 3 is that if you don't know who you are, you know, you latch on to what's giving you attention and success.
For sure.
And I'll tell you, FFA is a great place to feed an ego of a 3. And I probably got some validation there. And it's been a wonderful asset. It's changed my life. But, and I love FFA and the difference that it makes. But it can really be, it can be a breeding ground for unhealthiness.
It's not your identity.
It's because it's not your identity. And so many people, it becomes their identity. So then, you know, I was an FFA, and then I was a state officer, and then I was an ag teacher, and then I worked for FFA. And I had a conversation one time with my coworker, and I said, if you take this part out of my life, who am I? And who are my people? And so it's important to check in and say, who am I? What do I like? What should I be doing right now? Do I even like what I'm doing? And
go back to you said my people. We were talking about this a little bit before. Like we're talking about friendships as a 3, relationships. Like that's just a central part of the 3 anyways, is like, you know, being a connector. And you and I are the same too, in that we're 3 with a 2 wing. And we'll talk, I'm sure at this point we've recorded a podcast where we talk about wings. So I won't go into detail about that. But can you kind of share what that's like in terms of friendships as a 3 and what you've navigated? And it's like, oh, here's where being a 3 is awesome because I bring this, like, this is such a gifting in forming friendships, and this is where it's hard.
Yes. So I would say that many people would think that we're close friends. And this is embarrassing for me to say, because if somebody is listening to this and they're like, I thought we were best friends, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of acquaintances and people that I'm very friendly with. I probably know a lot about their life. I've probably done a whole lot to make them feel important and to make them really like me. They probably don't know a lot about me, is the truth. And that's all. That's not on them. That's on me. And I am the asker of the questions of what's your family like? What do you like? Where are you from? What do you like to do? I don't give a lot of feedback back most of the time, you know, and I have some very, very close and precious friendships that have been my friends for a long, long, long time, since I was an unhealthy 3 teenager and before that. I feel like there are a few people in the world that I don't have to perform for at all.
And what, like, I don't know about you, it feels like I wear this like weighted vest, and then whenever I'm around them, it like comes off, and I'm like, oh, my lungs are functioning, and my muscles relax, and my brain relax. And they're like, we love you for who you are.
I know.
And I've heard about a 3. I don't know if this relates to you talking about like your people. But for me, they say that sometimes like the greatest blessing in a 3's life is when they do have a public crash. And that sounds awful, right? Like you and I, this is what we have nightmares about.
Oh, yeah.
We're found out, we're exposed, it's in the public. But I think back, like obviously I'm not anybody at all. But for some reason I do this. And as I think about my people, like who they are,
who would still show up,
they would still be there. They bail me out. They would be at the
meeting. I have
whatever it is.
Yes, absolutely. My friendships are old and long. And I want to make more friends as an adult, and I am. And this is something I'm stretching and pushing myself to do, because my friends live across the country and the world. And, you know, sometimes you just need people who live down the road from you. And so I do have friends down the road. If you're listening and you live down the road, we are friends.
People in your neck of the holler are like, what about me?
What about me? I thought we were friends. We are friends. But that's a challenge for me. It is a challenge. And I love entertaining. I love welcoming people to my home. But to just not who show up when I'm not doing anything for you, you know, and you just see me, and probably, I mean, my college roommates are those girls for me who our friendship has followed, because they know that like I'm a mess to be around most of the time, and they've loved me anyway. They don't care at this point. You know, they've seen my mess and they still love me. And that's why it's been a long friendship for that reason. My husband is a person like that. You know, I can't imagine a 3 being married to somebody who didn't get to be your authentic self with. I think it'd be a very unhealthy marriage.
What's interesting about a 3 is that a lot of the positive qualities of a 6 are when we're healthy. And so that could be really helpful, especially in your marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just another Joe on the bus. I'm loyal. I'm here to like, you know, that live that kind of steadfast mindset.
Sure.
And then here, what's your husband? That's cool.
Oh yeah. My husband's a 6. And so in my marriage, I've learned this about him so much. And the language of the Enneagram has helped me understand him and him understand me. And one thing is that 6s are steady. They're loyal. They are content.
Oh, content. What is that like?
I don't know. I dream of that.
And I dream of public failures.
But Bradley, my husband, he has told me many times in our marriage, just before the Enneagram, he said, can we just not do anything for a while? And it's just because I'm always on to the next, whether it's major life change or house project or family activity or fill in the blank. I am always planning the next. And he is just so content with where we are and what it is and in the moment and who's there. And it drives me nuts. And
it's so good for you.
And it's so good for me. You know, and he'll say, put down your phone. Nobody needs you right now. You know, he'll tell me those things. And that's very positive for me.
Oh, I think all numbers, like they need their people to know that language because they like your people know when you're doing that thing. And for a 3, it's like performing and productivity. It's like the 2 P's. And so my people can be like, you're doing that thing. Like you don't have to do that thing. Or talk about, so for a 3 in the workplace. So either right now you've like resonated and someone's like, sign me up on this crazy train, 3 bus. Or they're like, I work with someone. I think that's exactly who this person is. So what are those, maybe it's one thing, maybe it's a couple of things, but you're like, if you're working with a 3 or how you are using the 3 in the workplace. Can you talk about, because I think for 3s, it's for all numbers, it's important, but I'm like, oh man, this is such a like a self-centered 3 moment to be like,
not. Okay,
we need this.
Here's why. My coworker Emily, we're a team of 2. She's also 6. So I have 2 very important 6s in my life.
That's interesting.
And I say this about Bradley, and I finally understand. He lets me be me and I'm going to say not lets me be me. He lets me be a full-on 3 when the time is there. I mentioned our gala earlier. He comes with me to the gala.
Where does he sit?
In the back with my friends or whatever I need
monitoring
to do.
Like
he doesn't do, he just, you know, eats the snacks. You know, he doesn't care about talking to anybody.
Somebody's like, oh, the governor's here, and he's like,
whoop-de-doo.
This peach pie's good.
Yep, doesn't care a bit. That's definitely him. But he also doesn't care that I'm not sitting with him. He lets me talk to every person in the room. There's no jealousy or like, you need to sit down, you need to rest. He knows, you know, I'm not going to eat that night. I'm just going to be in a tizzy of talking and wooing all the people there. And then he knows that when it's over, I'm going to have to sit and process for a minute. And he's going to tell me I did a good job and he's proud of me. And then take me back to a normal, calm life. But he lets me be a 3 in those moments that I have to. And then when I'm being overbearing and bossy and telling him our to-do list of all the things we have to do that weekend, you can say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to relax, you know. So that is one thing. I have shared this with Bradley and Emily that I work with. Bradley read The Road Back to You. He read my chapter, and he told me, I feel really sorry for you. He said, I've never understood how exhausting it is to be in your head. Mm-hmm. And I told Emily that, and after working with me, she's worked with me for almost 4 years, she's like, oh, I get that too. You know, and I think it must be exhausting to work with me, because if you're not in my brain goes so fast that I probably make people around me feel underappreciated, because they're like, look what I'm doing for you in this moment, and I'm 5 steps ahead. Yeah. So it's given me language to come back and talk to both of them and reassure them that things are good, and let's talk things over and go at your pace. But they both understand how to let me be a 3 when I need to be 2.
So whenever you're really honing in on all of your 3-ness, and it's like, you feel like you're at this like healthy place. So the 3 with the 2 wing is the charmer. Yeah. I think the 3 with the 4 wing is called the professional. Yeah. But you identify with the charmer.
The charmer.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're that 3 with the 2 wing, you're like, here are like 2 or 3 things, but I feel like really healthy, and yet really like I get to be me and my giftings. Because we don't want to like talk about 3-ness.
Like they're the worst, because we're not the worst.
Well, sometimes we are.
Sometimes, but the world would be a less productive place without me and you and all 3s.
All of these. I think about this. If there were no 3s in this world, like the Franklin Coveys and the day designers and like all the agendas, they would be bankrupt. So
they would be.
All of our people, support them.
Sure.
But talk about like when you're like, that was a really good day as a 3. Have you ever thought about that? I'm like, here's what happened, or here are the moments, and these things happened, and I feel really like in a good place.
Our state convention, board meetings are, it's adrenaline for me, which is embarrassing to say.
No, I get it. Do you ever like you're like, you have a high like in your body when you leave those things?
Absolutely.
We can't go to bed.
And I have to come down.
Yes.
From it.
Yeah.
Because it's a room of 24 people. I have big ideas, and it's processing and winning people over and working through hard things and getting everybody in the same direction and excited. And I can feel that room and feel the energy and feel like this has to slow down. This person needs to talk. If this person would say this, then the whole room would shift. Like I get that in my head, and of like a perfect board meeting when you feel great and like you got some things done and people were engaged. That's a high for me. I'm just laughing at myself saying that, but it's true.
If we had an 8 in a room, they'd be like, this is bull.
I know. Yeah. And we have 8s on our board. Lots of 8s on our board.
We do.
So getting all the 8s moving probably in the same direction is a victory that in itself.
It's like herding tigers.
Sure. And then, you have other people who are like, oh, this boardroom is stupid. Why do you even want to be here? There are other people in my life like, do you care about this at all? So that's a great day for a 3. Other great days are being with people that, I say state convention because we have a board meeting. We have several luncheons and dinners with all of our donors, and everybody feels good. And I get to be the host of all these people and share the good news about FFA, and everybody kind of leaves on a high feeling like FFA is the best and you all are doing a great job and we're so happy to support the foundation. And that's just like the best day and the best feeling. The bad part about being a 3 is the minute when that day's over thinking, oh my gosh, what's next? How will I top this next year? What's the next thing? And then I might have had 300 people tell me something great. One person give mediocre feedback, and all I can think about is the negative.
Right, because it's such your identity.
Yeah.
I think for a 3-2 wing, like I literally like the greatest like rush of that for me, and you're like talking along that same lines, like anytime, because the 2's the helper, And so if I can like form a network of people and like this person way over here gets connected to this person way over here, and then they meet and like I can introduce them, and then they like start doing something like really cool, like they work on something, and like all of a sudden there's a picture on Instagram because they met in person, and then now that person's company is hired. Like that is a rush, and that's a cool thing. It's a good thing. But if it gets back to the root of like, because of me,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
And so that's where, okay, we're gonna, no, we're not. Well, we're threes. What do we want? No, that'd be an 8 thing to say. If you could, in like one sentence or a few words, like if there's like one thing you could tell a 3 to like love them well or affirm them or whatever, like if you're in the context of the workplace to, you know, encourage or affirm or whatever that, what do you think that is? Like, what does a 3 need to hear most?
You're worthy. Of just who you are. You're worthy. If all of the work accolades stop tomorrow, you're still worthy. Life will still be okay. It'll be good. And then I would challenge 3s to really check in with themselves about if things fell away, what's the important things they're focusing on in their life? You know, I mean, I've been a young professional and a mom, and sometimes that balance is hard, and I think, am I putting the effort in the right places? And who am I doing this for? Who is this about? Do I care? Who am I giving my efforts and all my time and talents to people who really care and really love me, or not? Am I ignoring the people who really care and love me to give my time and attention to other people? That's hard. Definitely there have been times in my life where I've ignored the important things and gave my attention to other things. Because I got more, you know, that was where I was getting my validation from. So my challenge to 3s is to figure that out and to do that hard work, because it is hard work. And 3s, when you're found out, you just feel gross.
Oh, it's the worst. I told you earlier when Ian Crone did his workshop that I went to. So my friend that went with me is a 4 of the 3 wing.
Okay.
So she knows. So we were like talking on the way up, and he said, I can always tell when the 3s, like when I get done teaching, because they start out and they're all sitting up straight, and they typically are like dressed nicely, and they like want to be, you know, super like image conscious, attractive. They're like probably taking notes on a tablet, like something very forward thinking on technology, or a brand of a notebook that looks really good. And then by the end of it, they're like slumped down. They feel exposed. So I would echo on the you're worthy. And this isn't coming from me. This is not a Kirby theological discovery. I heard this on another podcast, and it was a typology podcast. It was a 3. And this just like hit me in the gut that day. He said, that like one liner or that whatever, he said, one of my favorite verses in scripture is when John Baptist baptized Jesus, and it said, the heavens opened, and it was, this is my son with whom I'm well pleased. Did that happen before or after Jesus did all of his life miracles? Before anything. He hadn't done anything. Like he had lived a very ordinary, steadfast, all the positive, like 6 thing. That was his life. This is my son with whom I'm well pleased. It wasn't because he works long hours, because it was like, and I remember he talked about that, and I was like, oh, I'd never timeline that in terms of the life of Jesus. And it's Jesus. It's not It's not Kirby. It's not but it is. It is. Yeah. And I remember I was like, I won't even, like, I can't ever, because you read about these miraculous works and all the good and you don't sometimes read the rest. But before all of that, this is my son. I was like, this is what 3s need to hear.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, Sheldon.
That's good for me to hear.
Well, this has been fun. Okay, Sheldon, there's just so much more we could talk about. I feel like even we didn't even like talk about the 3 with the 2 being kind of but we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, sure.
All right, this is one of your favorite parts as a 3. We were joking before we got started that I asked for a shout out, and a 3 would totally like
name drop.
Yeah,
the
like
important people I've been hanging
yeah,
out with.
they're like, just last week, so and so came over.
Right, I'll do a 3 thing.
Okay, do a 3 thing, and then maybe so who would you like to make a shout out to?
Well, I want to do a real shout out, but
you can do a real one.
Yeah.
What would a 3 normally do?
Well, last night when I was at a reception with the governor,
yes, this wonderful,
right.
yeah, Okay, now give me a real shout out.
My real shout out. My real shout out is.
Do you know the people? Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
You're okay.
So we're recording this in a hotel room. If somebody can like it, these walls are thin. And we're also here during the National Pharmacy Unit show. So these types of like conversations are not the regular, I'm guessing, in the hotel.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, honey, the weirdest people are in the room next to us.
I wish they would hush.
They're talking about like, feelings and okay, sorry.
Right.
Give me
No,
a real
it's
shout
okay.
out. Yeah.
So my real shout out would be to my Enneagram 6 husband, Bradley, who has calmed my he lets me be me. And they're the Enneagram. I want to shout out both of those things because our marriage has improved and we've gotten some better skills in understanding each other because the Enneagram. But even before the Enneagram, he knew me and he loved me. Mm-hmm. And I think I get to excel at my job because he supports me and is okay with me being a total 3.
Yeah, that's special.
Mm-hmm. It is special because it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And with a 3, you compete for attention a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but he's a 6, so he's probably less concerned about that. I'm married to an 8, so he doesn't give jack about that.
He's okay. Yeah. What number would you have to be married to that needed your undivided attention?
I feel like a 3 married to a 2 might be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Maybe. And maybe even a 3 and a 7. Oh, I bet a 3 and a 7.
Off the rails.
Yeah. It would be like the 7 would like want to one up on the fun factor, and the 3 would see everybody else enjoying the 7 and would be like, well, I'm going to outperform. Oh, yeah. I can see that being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
So tell us you kind of mentioned the Enneagram, but what has been a game changer for you? Is there a very 3 game changer in your life lately? It can be super practical. I mean, you both in the podcast. You know our game changers.
Yeah, I will tell you a game changer for me that I've just realized. I am reading the chronological Bible again this year. This is my second time through the Bible in a chronological way. So if you did not know, it's the whole Bible in a year. It's dated, but it happens in order of how the Bible happens.
Where are you at right now?
I'm heading into Leviticus.
I
know. So Leviticus, the numbers you got to power through, and then it gets much better.
But you're 3, you'll be fine.
Yeah. But here's one thing that has helped me is that travel a lot with my job. I'm in the car a lot. Quiet time is hard for me. 3s don't do quiet time. I don't journal, things like that. I have to really push myself to do that. But quiet time and prayer time is important. But what I've found to remove excuse for me is that on the YouVersion Bible app on your phone, you can listen to, it will read you the Bible.
Which version do you listen to?
So I'm listening to the ESV right now.
Oh, and the voice of the ESV guy,
they're different voices on the app?
Yeah. So I've been listening to the CSB, and it's not as compelling. The ESV guy.
He sounds like God.
He sounds like God.
He does.
He's like, Genesis chapter 1.
Exactly.
In the beginning. Yes. And you're like, I'm crying.
Yeah, and it's like, God, thank you for reading the Bible to me. But this morning I'm traveling for work. That's how we're together right now. But I was busy. I didn't have time for quiet time. But while I was getting ready, I listened to the Bible, and that has helped keep me so accountable. And that is a free and easy tool for people. So that's been a great game changer for me.
That's so good, Sheldon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Kirby.